Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished professors, esteemed dignitaries, respected colleagues, and participants from across the globe. It is with immense honor and great pleasure that I welcome you all to this international conference on the role of educational institution as a catalyst addressing poverty and mitigating conflict in fragile states. Jointly organized by the Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysore, Kalu Institute, Madrid, Spain, School of Law, University of Nairobi, Kenya, Mount Kenya University, Kenya. We gather at the critical juncture in history. The global community is witnessing profound challenges in a conflicted states, where the cycle of poverty and insecurity continues deepen. According to the World Bank, over 421 million, nearly 60% of the world's extreme poor, struggles to survive on less than $3 a day. By 2030, this figure projected to rise to 435 million. These statistics are not only numbers, but this represents human lives marked by vulnerability, displacement, lack of opportunities. Armed conflicts, political instability, and weak institutions compound this hardship. Education system in particular bear the brunt of crisis. In conflict states, secondary school enrollment is lower than the stable nations. Literacy rate lags behind. Infrastructure development remains ruins, and generations of children are deprived of transformative power of learning. Without education, prospect of peace, justice, sustainable development remains elusive. This conference is built on conviction that education is not only fundamental rights, but also a strategic instrument for the peace building, economic empowerment, and social cohesion. By reimagining curricula, integrating vocational skills, advancing inclusive access, embedding peace education, in that case, our institution can become an agent of resilience, catalyst for transformation. Over the next 2 days, we will critically engage with the themes ranging from the equity and access in fragile education system to innovative financing mechanism, from technical and vocational education for self-reliance to digital learning technologies in crisis and so on. Together, we interrogate how education can advance sustainable development goal, particularly SDG 1 and SDG goal number 4. This gathering reflects a spirit of global collaboration from University of Mysore to Nairobi and to Kalu Institute, Madrid. Our collective endeavor demonstrates this partnership continues not only for continent, but it is to essential addressing intervened challenges that occurs in the conflicted states. Without further
Send the
ado,
link to Solomon.
we begin with the inaugural address. May I invite Professor M.S. Benjamin, Dean Faculty of Law, Chairman, Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysore, to extend the word of thanks and to set the tunes for today's program. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Syed Kurat. Good morning, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to today's international conference on the role of educational institutions in mitigating poverty and the conflicts in the fragile states, organized by the Department of Law, University of Mysore, Karnataka, India, in collaboration with the Kalu Institutes, Madrid, Spain, School of Law, University of Nairobi, School of Law, Mount Kenya University, Kenya. Esteemed guest, Honorable Vice Chancellors, Professor Dr. S. Suryanarayan Prakash Sir, my mentor and guide, Professor Dr. C. Basuraju, keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Srinivasalu, distinguished speakers, Mr. Alberto Martos, Ms. Norma Caldo Romero, Professor Dr. Kenneth Wayne Kutuma, panelists, educators, practitioners, faculty members, researchers, and all participants joining us from various countries. We have assembled today not just to deliberate about education, but how to explore how to explore education can be used as a powerful tool in addressing poverty and mitigating conflicts in fragile states. As we know, no state wishes to be labeled as a fragile state by the international community. People do not agree with terming their countries as fragile states. However, we do come across with the fragile states based on certain attributes like security threats, low living the standards, weak governance, human rights violations, gender-based disparity, displacement, criminality, wages for terrorists, political and social instability, vulnerable to collapse, and unable to achieve economic goals and sustainable developments. Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Congo, Yemen, Haiti, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Cameroon, Lebanon, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Iraq, Afghanistan, and so on can be cited as examples of fragile states. Poverty is widespread in fragile states. People who live in fragile states are more likely to die early or live with chronic illness. Death rate is 13 times higher than elsewhere in developing countries. People, the men, women, and children do not have access to quality education or essential health care. Child mortality is 2.5 times higher than any other countries. Fragile states have very weak economic growth. Poverty in fragile states is more likely to destabilize regional and global security. Therefore, how to address these complex problems? Education is a powerful tool to address poverty and mitigate conflicts in fragile states. Education enables individuals to improve their livelihoods as it creates job opportunities, empowers women, fosters economic growth and development, improves health outcomes, and contributes to social and political stability. There is a link between education and poverty reduction, and it is crucial for sustainable development. However, education alone is not sufficient. What is important is investment in quality education and make it more inclusive and equitable. With this backdrop, on behalf of the Department of Law, University of Mysore, Kalu Institutes, Spain, University of Nairobi, and Mount Kenya University, Kenya, I extend a warm welcome to Chief Guest of the conference, Professor Dr. S. Surya Prakash Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, National Law Institutes University, Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India. To the guest of honor, Professor Dr. C. Basavaraju, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Karnataka State Law University, Hubli, Karnataka, India. To our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Srinivasulu, West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences, Kolkata, India. To distinguished speakers, President Mr. Alberto Marto, Ms. Norma C. Romero, General the Director, Kalu Institute, Madrid, Spain. To conference chair, Professor Dr. Kenneth Wayne Mutuma, School of Law, Mount Kenya University, Kenya. I also heartily welcome all panelists, participants, members of the organized team, and the regional coordinator, Mr. Syed Hasmi Kudrat. We look forward to your active participation and a meaningful exchange of ideas, and thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for warm welcome. It is now my pleasure to invite our chief guest, a distinguished academician, to address the inauguration. Before we proceed with sir, may I request Ms. Sarah Benjamin to introduce her to the audience, and we will proceed with inaugural address. Ms. Sarah, over to you.
A pleasant morning to one and all present here. respected dignitaries, esteemed colleagues, and dear party guest, Professor Dr. S. Surya Prakash, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the National Law Institute, University, Bhopal. He assumed this position on 1st June 2023, bringing with him decades of experience and leadership in legal education. Professor Surya Prakash has earlier served as the Vice Chancellor of Damodaram Sanjeevaya National Law University, Vishakhapatnam, and as the founder, Vice Chancellor of Maharashtra National Law University, Aurangabad, besides being a senior professor of law at the NLIU Bhopal. His career of over 30 years in academics includes leadership roles as principal of law colleges in Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra, and as a faculty member of the National University of Juridical Sciences, Kolkata, an outside University, and an LLM from Andhra University with a specialization in labor and industrial law, where he was awarded the V.N. Dikshitulu Prize for securing the highest marks in labor law. He went on to complete his PhD in law from Behrampur University, Odisha. Professor Surya Prakash Sir is a prolific author and researcher. His seminal work, Bonded Labor and Social Justice, received wide recognition, and his acclaimed biography of Professor N.R. Madhava Menon, Turning Point, the Story of a Law Teacher, chronicles both a visionary educator and the law school movement in India. He has also authored and edited important works such as Critical Issues on International Commercial Arbitration, Perspectives on Mediation, Remember the Martyrs of Indian Freedom Struggle, Constitution and Composite Culture, and a Practical Guide to Legal Methods and Legal Research. His body of work includes more than 35 scholarly articles and 40 research papers presented at national and international conferences. Beyond his writing, he has contributed to important policy projects for the government and the judiciary, including reports on interstate migrant labor, access to justice, health laws, and agricultural laws. He is also the founder editor of the Indian Law Review, the law journal of the National Law Institute University, Bhopal. Professor Surya Prakash Sir has been a visiting professor at the Warwick University, UK, and in 2010 he was invited to the United States under the International Visitor Leadership Program to study the US judicial system, gaining valuable insights into judicial training and legal education. His areas of expertise include jurisprudence, labor laws, alternative dispute resolution, international commercial arbitration, health law, and the relationship between culture and law. Today, we are privileged to welcome an eminent scholar, visionary leader, and institution builder whose contributions have enriched both legal education and the cause of justice. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Professor Dr. S. Surya Prakash Sir. Thank you.
Sir, over to you.
Okay,
Yes.
it's my turn. Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for your kind words of introducing me to the audience from around the globe. Good morning to all. As already introduced, I'm Professor S. Surya Prakash, Vice Chancellor at National University, Bhopal, in central India, and some 400 kilometers from New Delhi. So today, I was asked to deliver the guest address for this today's program on role of educational institutions as catalysts addressing poverty and mitigating conflict in fragile states. On this occasion, at the outset, I'm thankful to the organizers, Professor M.S. Benjamin and Professor Basavaraju, Vice Chancellor, Karnataka State Law University, and my friend, Professor N.S. Srinivasulu, who is instrumental in introducing me to this conference, President Alberto Matos, Director, Kalu Institute, Spain, and then we have Professor Kenneth Mutama, Professor School of Law at Mount Kenya University, and our young friend Syed Hashmi, who is coordinating and hardly pursued me to come for this conference, and dear participants from around the world. The topic which was framed just I'm discussing with Professor Benjamin, it includes so many concepts, and also it is very much necessary today in the era of so many conflicts that's happening around the world. What is the status of education, and particularly the status of children in the conflict zones? And here I would like to draw your attention on some of the provisions of the international institutions or organizations in protecting the rights of children. Only when we protect the educational rights of the children, then only they'll go for higher education. So, coming back to the conflicts, mankind has seen so many conflicts around the world, and particularly in the 20th century, we have seen the worst of the worst wars. Say, the era of wars, the 20th century, the First World War, the Second World War, and then the US-Vietnam War and Indo-China War, Indo-Pakistan wars. So, number of wars took place, and mankind has lost. And because of the effects of the Second World War, the loss of human beings in the Second World War, which has driven the international community to form different international organizations to prevent this scourge of wars, at least in future. But that didn't happen, even though the large-scale wars, like world wars, were avoided, but still the conflicts are going on. So in the 21st century, we may say that this is the century of conflicts. If 20th century is the century of wars, 21st century is the century of conflicts. That is, the wars limited to a particular countries, maybe 2 or 3 countries between. So, most of these conflicts we look at, unless we study the conflicts, it's not possible to look at the kind of environment that these conflicts may put on the people, and thereby which create a lot of problems, and where even the survival itself will become so difficult in these conflict zones. So conflicts, most of the conflicts are due to the politics. So politics and conflicts, they get, they go together. That is, conflicts and politics, they go hand in hand. So most of the conflicts, the backdrop is only the politics. So, and we have seen in the 21st century, Afghanistan is the victim of Cold War, the domination of 2 superpowers, and the nation has become a playground for the superpowers to demonstrate their weapons, weaponry, and all these things. And what is the sin of the poor people of Afghanistan, if you look at it? They are the innocent victims of the politics of the big powers. Similarly, if we see some of the agitations, Pink Revolution in Syria, some of them, they are created by the bigger states, deep states, and sometimes there are false accusations on smaller countries. Like the West has thrusted a concept of weapons of mass destruction on Iraq. There are no weapons of mass destruction, and India said that there is no such thing. And Saddam Hussein, he cried, he begged that I do not have WMDs, but still US and UK thrusted that you have weapons of a plea to attack or invade on Iraq, and how the things has happened. So nowadays we have seen the conflicts in Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh. That is, some of these conflicts, they are due to the internal reasons. And like Bangladesh, how all of a sudden the uprising, the so-called uprising of the students against the democratically elected government. And there are news and views about that. This was a deep-rooted conspiracy of the deep states of the big nations, and where they are interested in to dethrone Sheikh Hasina because they asked for, US has asked for a piece of land, an island for their military base, which was rejected by. So whenever the smaller states, they reject the demands of the bigger states, superpowers, the so-called superpowers, automatically they interfere through their NGOs and pump the money and change the opinion. They bring their false narratives, and finally they will make the nations into conflict zones and install the governments which they require. So ultimately, the people are the innocent victims. The people, though normally a common man, he won't side with any of these a peaceful manner. But when conflicts happens, common man is the first victim. So we have seen and we have experienced just 2 days back, there was an attempt even in India also, in the state of Ladakh. An activist, an NGO, and finally he provoked, and the matters are under investigation. And he has also threatened the situation. Mr. Wangchuk, he threatened a few days back that saying that what happened in Nepal, what happened in Bangladesh may happen in India also. But India is not Nepal or Bhutan or Bangladesh. India is such a big country. And for the last 15 years or 20, there are no allegations of corruption against the present government. If anyone think that they may create such a situation in India, it is only a false illusion. They will never succeed. In a democratically elected, and we have a very vibrant democracy, and the democracy which has seen so many ups and downs, but no one could defeat the democratic system in India. So this is the straight message from a common man to those who are expecting that we can create a situation like Nepal or Bangladesh in India. They will fail, and the law in India will deal with them with a heavy hand, and all of them, they will be put behind the bars. So this is what I would like to say, that India will never become a conflict zone like Bangladesh. And then coming back to our topic, as I said, that I try to collect the material, but however, the economic progress, which is linked to education as a catalyst for economic development, I could not get much material. But however, I would like to throw the environment in many states and how the international organizations and institutions has tried to uplift the education to all. So let me see with one of the statistics. According to the Uppsala Conflict Data Program 2024 at Uppsala University, the number of conflicts involving states has nearly doubled since 2010, which is increasing from 59 to 61 in 2024. So the number of conflicts around the world, as per the statistics revealed by Uppsala University of Spain, 61 places around the world. Furthermore, a report from the Peace Research Institute Oslo 2024 indicates that 129,000 individuals lost their lives in conflicts over the past year, marking 2024 as the fourth deadliest year since the conclusion of the Cold War in 1989. Additionally, the UNHCR report states that By the end of 2024, approximately 123.2 million people worldwide were forcibly displaced due to persecution. And persecution, conflict, violence, human rights violations, and events that severely disrupt public order and public peace. Notably, African countries and the continent of Africa is to be the region with the highest number of state-based conflicts annually. There are 28 conflicts in the continent of Africa, followed by Asia, 17, Middle East, 10 during 2024-25. So, even for example, Ethiopia, which is an underdeveloped nation, which has 1.5 million refugees from more than 12 countries, from South Sudan to Eritrea to all surrounding countries. The refugees, they are pouring into Ethiopia, and Ethiopia has been maintaining these refugees. And sometimes due to internal conflicts in the regions, these refugees, they start migrating from one place to another place in Ethiopia. So it is causing a lot of strain on the economic resources of the nation. Already the fragile economic resources and the system, it is shattered by these large-scale refugees from different nations. So let's coming back to the education in these conflict zones. What is the scenario? Education in the post-conflict period is often confronted with serious dilemmas that go so far beyond restoration of peace. Students return to the school carrying the burden of trauma, which makes learning so difficult and slows the process of reintegration. So we have to look at the environment in which the students, they are forced to sit in the schools and learning. Learning requires a very peaceful atmosphere. It should be encouraging, it should be motivating, but not under fear and but not under always they are living in fear. They do not know tomorrow they will survive, whether they will get 2 square meals every day. When with starvation and under fear of their lives, how parents could send their children to schools and how the children can learn and what would be the mental condition status of even the teachers. So at the same time, many schools are destroyed. When I'm saying this, this is a general observation in the conflict zones, not particular to any one nation or one place. So many schools are destroyed, damaged, occupied as shelters for IDP, that is internally displaced people and refugees, leaving little space for education to resume. And families who remain uncomfortable at IDP centers, internally displaced people centers, face additional barriers, while teachers are frustrated by unpaid back salaries and poor working conditions and often reluctant to return to classrooms. In Ethiopia, for example, despite the relative peace in northern region since November 2022, after devastating armed conflict started in 2020 in the northern part of Ethiopia, the education sector has struggled to recover. Still, it is in the process of recovering, not yet settled. More so, the financial shortages, using IDPs as political bargaining tool and weak coordination have meant that only a small number of students have resumed to classes, while many children remain outside the system. So this is the scenario of now. Ethiopia is progressing, is having well settled government, though it is so many races, they are in conflict, but still a political stability was established and the government has been struggling due to lack of resources. And the worst scenario we can observe in Afghanistan, it is totally a different but equally troubling scenario, because even though armed conflict has subsided, ever since the Taliban, they have established a political system and political government, a stable government to say. The power shifted the focus towards religious education. Once Afghanistan, which is having vibrant universities and modern education, and this religious education banned girls' education after the age of 12 and restricted internet access, thereby severely limiting the opportunities of learning. Today, just it's unimaginable. If there is no internet access, today we can't conduct this international program. But however, restraining the internet access only to few. And these cases show that post-conflict education dilemmas are shaped not only the physical destruction, but also political choices, financial control, and social disruptions. During the armed conflicts, it's become inevitable that education systems frequently faced both direct and indirect damages, including the destruction of schools, loss of educators, economic difficulties, and the displacement of students and teachers. These obstacles not only impede immediate access to education, but also carry long-term consequences of social and economic development. So, when we think about education as a catalyst for economic development, first of all, these are the basic issues which need to be addressed by the governments with the help of where it is a conflict zone, with the help of international organizations and institutions. As conflicts persist globally, it becomes increasingly vital to comprehend their effects on education. And undoubtedly, education is a catalyst, but it requires stability of the state, financial resources, and above all, both the teachers and the students, they are mentally disturbed. And with such a poor mental condition, unless peace is restored, all these things, they are not possible. However, just I would like to have a quick glance to remind the learned audience, what is the global legal framework for right to education? So we know human rights, the right to education, Article 26 provides for every child shall have the right to compulsory education. Similarly, the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, Article 13, it provides for right of everyone to have the education, and education shall enable all persons to participate effectively in a free society. So every international organization, the precondition is a free society where mind could be free. Unless mind is free, neither teacher nor taught could involve in the process of education. So the free society will promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among the nations and all racial, ethnic, religious groups. So this is an inclusive education system. And the same covenant also prescribes what are the duties of the states. Primary education shall be compulsory and it should be freely available to all. Secondary education. And similarly, the latest in the sense that 1989, the Convention on the Rights of the Child directs the states make primary education compulsory and available, free to all, higher education accessible to all on the basis of their economic capacity, etc., etc. And similarly, Convention on the Rights of the Persons with Disabilities, Article 24 provides that education system should be an inclusive system of education. So where the persons with disabilities, they should not feel that they are deprived of their disability, the access to education. And similarly, Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, that is CEDA. Again, it also provides for the education to girl children and others. And Guiding Principles of International Displacement, 1998, Principle 22. It put emphasis on displaced children shall have access to education on the basis of equality of opportunity. So, my friends, there are so many international and the international humanitarian law, which speaks about the rights of the people in the conflict zones, which provides for right to education. And the Fourth Geneva Convention of 1949 provides a legal framework to protect civilians, including educational institutions, from wartime. So Article 50 provides the occupying power shall, with the cooperation of the national and local authorities, facilitate and proper of all institutions devoted to the care and education of children. Even in the conflict zones, they want to, that the international institutions, organizations, they provide that the education. So similarly, the additional protocol of 1977, and there are so many other instruments also, like the International Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination of 1965, and the UNESCO Convention on Against Discrimination of Education 1960, Article 22 of the 1951 Refugee Convention ensuring the refugees have the same access to primary education as nationals. So, when so many international institutions, organizations, they have framed the rules, directions, protocols for the education of the children of the refugees and displaced persons. But practically, if we see, what is required is finances. In the conflict zones, already the nations, they suffer with loss of economic resources and economic disability of the state, poor functioning of administration. And with all these things, it is difficult to expect that unless there is primary education, student, they can't move up for higher education. Unless there is a higher education, education can't become a catalyst for economic development. But however, there are certain programs in by the countries and also by the international institutions like South Sudan. After the conflict, the Ministry of Education with international partners developed crisis response. They also launched school capitalization grants and girls education South Sudan. Guess funds to improve the access. And this program has helped to restore the functionality of the school, supports the government's enrollment, provides financial support to schools, teachers, etc. And similarly, UNHCR, ensuring inclusion into national system, displaced children's refugees are included in the national enrollment, use national curricula, non-formal and accelerated learning programs are used as bridges. And this program also has increased improving the legitimacy of education, smoother reintegration using national systems. Like this, UNESCO, UNICEF, they have come up with the mission recovering education in humanitarian countries, even the radio education in emergencies, and all these things, they have contributed for the growth and for the instruction of education to the girls in the conflict zones. And the solution, whatever may be the conflicts, the leaders of the various groups, they should remember that destruction of schools should not take place in the conflicts, and loss of educators, they should not launch post-conflict teacher training programs, economic hardships, displacement, less academic quality. So these are the other psychological and socio-political effects. So the recommendations, which include that, as I said, that there should not be destruction of schools, and launch post-conflict teacher training programs, and introduce cash assistance or scholarships to reduce child labor pressure, because in the conflict zones, most of the children, they go for some kind of work. And displacement, develop inclusive education policies for displaced and refugee children. Loss of academic quality, invest in curriculum revision to address post-conflict realities, strengthen higher education and research institutions through partnerships under PPP, etc. Psychological and socio-political effects. So the other thing, recommendation is that integrate psychosocial support and trauma treatment schools in the system, foster safe, inclusive, participatory school environment, promote peace education and conflict resolution programs to rebuild social trust. So my friends, conflicts will remain as long as mankind remains on this planet. So vested interest, self-interest, motivated interest, and greed all these things will come into picture to destroy, to provoke, to invoke the conflicts. But as I said in the beginning that children, they should not suffer because they did commit any sin or they didn't commit any fault of their own. So for the leaders' faults, children should not suffer. So my friend, this is an overview. I didn't go into detail. This would be, my talk is like compressing an epic into an epigram. I have gone only in an abstract manner, though I have prepared some paper, but I could not make out. This is my overall view on children education in the conflict zones. So the leaders and the sovereign nation heads, they should think about the children because the children are the asset of the universe. A child in Africa or a child in Bangladesh or child in Sri Lanka or child in India, they are the assets of the mankind. Children, they belong to all. Childhood is not negotiable. And childhood, they should spend only in schools. And for that, mankind, it is the due of the mankind to the children. With these few words, I conclude and thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your comparative and comprehensive insights and your concerns towards the children. It is really appreciated. Thank you. We now move to the next of the program, our guest honor. May I now request Honorable Vice Chancellor of Karnataka State Law University to address the gathering. Before we proceed with sir, may I request Ms. Sarah Benjamin to introduce sir to the audience. Sarah, over to you.
It is my honor to introduce our guest of honor, Professor Dr. C. Baswaraju, the Vice Chancellor of Karnataka State Law University, Hubli. Professor Baswaraju is a renowned academician and administrator who has served as Professor and Dean, Faculty of Law, University of Mysore, and has held several key positions including Registrar, Syndicate Member, Academic Council Member, and Registrar Evaluation at the Karnataka State Dr. Gangubai Hanagal Music and Performing Arts University, Mysore. Coming from humble beginnings, Professor Baswaraju dedicated his life to the cause of social justice, particularly for the weaker and vulnerable sections of the society. He has made significant contributions to the field of law, authoring 74 research papers in reputed national and international journals, publishing 4 books, and presenting over 86 research papers at seminars and conferences worldwide. His research focuses on social justice, human rights, and the role of law in shaping society. His academic journey includes a PhD thesis on social justice with special reference to weaker sections and human rights, later published as a book. He has successfully guided 10 PhD candidates, supervised more than 150 LLM dissertations, and adjudicated over 40 doctoral theses across universities in India. Professor Baswaraju sir has also represented India internationally, presenting papers at the Supreme Court of Bhutan and at conferences in Dubai and the United Kingdom, among others. His lectures on environmental law, higher education, and human rights reflects his wide scholarship and global engagement. As an administrator, he has contributed immensely to institutional development. He framed the syllabus for 50 courses introducing the 5-year integrated law program at the University of Mysore, organized numerous national seminars, and served on statutory and academic bodies shaping legal education in India. Today, we are privileged to welcome a scholar, visionary, and institution builder whose dedication to legal education and social justice has left a profound impact. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor Dr. C. Baswaraju sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the organizers and also those who are involved in conducting this a very important international seminar on a very relevant topic at the relevant time. That is on the role of educational institutions as catalysts, addressing poverty and mitigating conflict in fragile states. Firstly, I thank Professor Benjamin, Dean, Faculty of Law, University of Mysore, who is the person who has taken responsibility to conduct this program. The coordinator of this program, Mr. Syed Kudrat Hashimi, who is also a product of the Mysore University and my student. Professor S. Surya Prakash, Vice Chancellor, National Law Institute, University, Bhopal. Professor Srinivasulu, who is a keynote speaker of this inaugural program, who is a professor in National University of Judicial Science, Calcutta. Distinguished speakers of the inaugural session, Ms. Norman Cordio Romeo, General Director of Kalu Institute of Madrid, Spain, and conference chairing Professor Kenneth Wayne Muthama, and all the participants of this conference who have joined in the online program. Firstly, I would like to begin with a very important quotation given by Swami Vivekananda on the importance of education and the role of educational institutions. Swami Vivekananda said, education is the panacea for all problems of the society. It could be poverty, it could be conflict, it could be displacement, it could be pandemic, it could be any problems of the society. Education plays a very crucial role in resolving all these problems, including the socio-economic problems. Today, we are in the stage of looking at the importance of education and the role of education in the modern era, wherein we are moving towards the developmental activities in the field of science and technology, in the field of medicine, in the field of agriculture, horticulture, and also we are looking for the preservation and protection of the human rights, not only at the local level, but also at the global level. Look at what is happening today across the globe in respect of the rights enjoyed by the people. We are quite often confronted with various international issues. It is not confined only to a particular sovereign state. It confines to the international community. We always remember one of the conventions of International Labour Organization, which says the existence of poverty anywhere will be a threat to the prosperity of everywhere. So the existence of poverty in any corner of the world will have a drastic impact upon the sovereign states. And especially it will have a drastic impact upon the vulnerable sections of the society who are spread over the entire world. More in the underdeveloped countries and could be less in the developing and developed countries. So therefore, how to tackle these issues? which are confronted at the global level, at the national level, at the state level, at the regional level. So once the issue of education is taken very seriously by the institutions which are committed for ensuring justice to all in providing minimum facilities like food and shelter, regulating the poverty, regulating the discrimination. All these things, in fact, they are very important today. So therefore, we need to focus upon the relevance and the importance of education, not only at the local level, but also at the global level. Education is important for the socio-economic development of any country. Today, we have been witnessing the socio-economic development of our neighboring country like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal. Look at the socio-economic problems which these countries are facing, including to some extent India. See, therefore, we need to focus upon the social transformation. A social transformation can be achieved only by promoting education through educational institutions. The educational institutions are the temples of knowledge. They should take care of promoting, inculcating, imparting education to all. If you look at the various countries across the world, there are some countries, even today, smaller countries, even today, they are deprived of education. Millions and millions of children across the globe, especially in the underdeveloped countries, they are deprived of education. As a result of the deprival of the education, there is a deprival of their basic rights, their basic requirements like food, shelter, clothing, healthcare facilities, and so on and so forth. See, therefore, there is a need to address all these issues at the global level, and thereby we can focus upon the national level and various sovereign states. So in order to anticipate a good governance of any state for that matter, there is a need to promote education. Education, it promotes good governance, social stability. It facilitates for making informed decisions. Thousands and thousands of people across the globe who are poverty-stricken are not able to join in the decision-making process of their respective governments. When they are not able to join for the decision-making process, I think they cannot protect themselves, their various rights which are provided, not only nationally, but also internationally. So therefore, education is inevitable. Educational institutions should take the task, commit themselves to promote education, to achieve equitable society. That is exactly where every nation stands. And even a renowned philosophers, a renowned jurists, they also in fact promote for equitable society. A society in which every individual, whether it is a country like Kenya, a country like Bangladesh, a country like Sri Lanka, even a small countries who are poverty stricken, who are not able to extend the educational facilities, educational services to all, should come forward to extend the education. Educational institutions should be promoted, as many as possible, to see that the education should cater to the needs of the people of these societies. There is no need to compare the poverty-stricken states, or what we call as a fragile states, with that of a developed states. The developed states, in fact, they have already reached the pinnacle in terms of education, in terms of science and technology, in terms of medicines, in terms of inventions. But what about the fragile states? How to address the problem or issue of poverty in these countries? So therefore, education is the only way, education is the only effective mechanism which promotes equal society, which promotes the equal principles. And poverty-stricken families can break the poverty through acquiring skills and employments, by acquiring education. Today, we come across millions and millions of families who have been languishing from poverty. Their economic status is not favorable. So under these circumstances, education alone, in fact, it provides, it facilitates, it strengthens, it provides impetus to the people to acquire knowledge, acquire skills, to acquire employment, and also to acquire the required knowledge to face the socio-economic and other problems. Education also, in fact, provides for the security to the people. People will be alert. Especially the children, the vulnerable children who are spread over in the entire world, they are to be protected. International organizations like UNESCO has been providing a yeoman service, a very crucial service in protecting the children, the dilapidated children, the children who are poverty-stricken families, and especially in the states where quite often conflict arises, displacements takes place, pandemics arises. In these countries, there is a need to take care of the interest of children, interest of old people, and interest of the disabled people. So therefore, education is a very effective mechanism or a weapon which promotes literacy, skilled workforce, and which drives innovation, which drives productivity, and which drives competitiveness among all the people. And above all, education enables to have a civic society, a civic sense among all. What is to be done tomorrow? How to build our life? How to protect our interests? And how to culture our civilization, nurture our civilization. So therefore, education enables the people to express their opinion and participate in the decision-making process. And of course, across the globe, we look at the way in which people are suffering from poverty. Not only people are suffering from poverty, but they are also suffering from various other problems like unemployment, then undernutrition, lack of healthcare facilities, lack of security. All these are part and parcel of certain states wherein there is total insecurity. So in order to address all these issues at the global level, at the national level, or even to the some extent regional level, we need to build a strong commitment, a strong institutional structure to protect the people through inculcation of education. Likewise, education, in fact, which empowers the girls to confront any challenges. Today, look at the situation where the men-dominated societies, even today in many communities across the globe, the girls are not permitted to have education. The girls are not permitted to exercise their freedom, in spite of the fact that we have Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in spite of the fact that we have constitutions in their respective countries. See, all these things, in fact, can be regulated, if not completely annihilated, or if not completely abolished, at least to some extent we can regulate by creating awareness. The awareness can be created only through imparting education, providing education. Basic education is very much required to all the people, especially the girls across the globe must be educated. In addition to this, education also promotes the financial independence of women. Majority of the countries, we don't, especially the underdeveloped countries, we do find there is no financial independence given to the women. Women are deprived even today the financial independence. So there is a need to protect their independence, financial independence, by educating them. And above all, education builds self-confidence among all, self-confidence among the people who have lost the confidence, the people who have no hope of joining the mainstream of the society. So therefore, education increases individual as well as the family strength, family confidence, and it leading to the reduction of poverty. If we look at the UNESCO's reports, the United Nations Education for Scientific Cultural Organization, UNESCO, says 171 million people across the globe will escape from their poverty if the low income countries' children acquire basic reading skills. It's a very important report of the UNESCO that if the low income countries' children are encouraged or inspired or given basic reading skills, basic education, basic knowledge, then 100 million people across the globe will escape from the poverty. So poverty is the starting point which retards, which regulates, which distorts the development with different developmental activities. So therefore, education needs to be imparted. It is only through providing education we can eradicate substantially all kinds of social evils which exist in the society. It could be discrimination, it could be inequality, it could be exploitation, or even it could be social exclusion. The social exclusion can be excluded by providing education and bring back the people, could be children, could be women, could be vulnerable sections of the society, to the mainstream. So therefore, there is a need for promoting education, and by promoting education, we can address the various problems of the society, and especially the poverty. The poverty is one of the most dangerous evil, social evil which exists in the society, which corrupts everything, which takes away everything, which corrupts all the developmental activities. And that is why I said the International Labour Organization, one of the conventions of the International Labour Organization said wherein it makes a statement that existence of poverty anywhere is a threat to the existence of prosperity everywhere. So this is the right time that all countries, all sovereign countries, including the international organizations which are committed for the elimination of poverty across the globe, must come forward and to identify the countries which really require education, which really require skills, which really requires employment, which really requires the basic knowledge. So therefore, I'm sure that today's the 2 days program on the role of educational institutions as a catalyst addressing poverty and mitigating conflict in fragile state is a very relevant, a contemporary, a very important issue which has been taken up by the Department of Law, University of Mysore. And I hope that in the era of this conflict, in the era of this world war, in the era of this the discrimination, the era for the exploitation, which exists everywhere. It is not only in India. It is not only in the developing countries, underdeveloped countries, even in the developed countries also, we do come across this kind of discrimination, inequality, injustice, exploitation, which still exist. And therefore, we need to address the problem of poverty through education, which is imparted by various educational institutions across the globe. I thank the organizers, Professor Benjamin, and also the convener of this conference, Mr. Syed Kudrat Hashemi, and all other colleagues who have taken a great effort in conducting this international conference and also addressing this very important issue. Thank you so much for your kind patience hearing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words. Now, it is my privilege to invite the keynote speaker of the 2 days to set the foundation of intellectual discussions for today. Before we proceed with sir, I would like to request Ms. Sarah Benjamin to introduce the keynote speaker of the today's program. Sarah, over to you.
It is a matter of great honor and privilege to welcome a truly distinguished academician and legal scholar to today's session, Professor Dr. Srinivasulu NS, currently serving as Professor of Law at the National University of Juridical Sciences, Kolkata. Professor Srinivasulu is a widely respected figure in both national and international academic circles. He is a distinguished member of the International Council of Jurists London and a scientific member of the Canadian Institute for International Law, Ontario, Canada. He is also affiliated with the World Commission for Human Rights, London, reflecting his global commitment to advancing the rule of law and human rights. He began his academic career at the University of Mysore and later teaching at the prestigious National Law School of India University, Bangalore. Professor Srinivasulu joined the National University of Juridical Sciences in 2007 as Associate Professor and rose to the rank of Professor in 2013. A prolific and respected author, he has over 110 research publications to his credit, including 7 books, 3 monographs, 9 edited volumes, 15 book chapters, and 75 research articles. His scholarly contributions span more than 35 national and international journals and publishers of global repute, including Oxford University Press London, Penguin, Indiana, USA, Springer, UK, LexisNexis, Manupatra, and many other across the UK, USA, Turkey, and India. Beyond academia, Professor Srinivasulu has played a pivotal role in shaping public policy. He has worked with various ministries under the Government of India, including the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Human Resource Development, and Ministry of Transport, as well as the University Grants Commission. He has also offered policy advice to several state governments, including Karnataka, West Bengal, Assam, and Goa, especially on matters of legal education and law reform. Professor Srinivasulu's blend of deep academic scholarship and practical policy engagement makes him a rare and valuable resource in the field of legal education. His insights are bound to enrich our understanding and inspire meaningful dialogue among us. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Professor Dr. Srinivasulu NS, sir.
Thank you. Very good morning to all the people who are present in this program. I would urge all the participants to imagine the map. Ask you to open your laptop or Google on your smartphones and because how it what is the in the back of your mouth. On the left side, you see North America and South American countries. In the middle, you see Antarctica, Europe, and Africa. Then, in the right side, you'll get to see Asia, Asian countries, 7 different continents. Now, we all know in which part of the world the fragile states are existing. In which part of the world poverty is there more than that of other existing nations, right? It is a general imagination and impression that overall, compared to the left side of the world map, that is North America and South American countries, right side of the map, that is Asian countries, north side of the map, that is European Union. It is the middle and the southern middle, that is the Middle East and the African. Two issues and states are environment. Mostly in the middle, one or the other is there mostly the African countries. I don't know that there is poverty in Europe, countries in India there is no poverty. But substantial we are not of the matter. So the reason behind you close your eyes. Yeah,
I
there
think
was
due to-
some. Yeah, there was
Yes,
some.
sir. Due to the-
Yeah. So the reason behind I myself asking you people to imagine the world map is to give you your own idea that where exactly this fragile environment is situated, where exactly the poverty and related issues are there more than in nations. Now we talk about institutions' role or the education to alleviate poverty, to education, its role to settle the conflicts in the fragile states and stuff like that. We can make an observation that in the poverty situated countries or in those fragile states, education is very, very minimal. Education institutions are there, but people going and joining for their respective courses, and in general, literacy rate is comparatively at the lower levels in both African countries and as well in the Middle East. Of course, in certain European Union nations, in certain Asian nations also, there are issues with respect to poverty and also literacy issues. But mostly it is situated in the middle of the world. And of course, when we imagine our own body, when in the middle of the body, that is our stomach, middle, right? So middle of there is some or the other, and it could be related to the armed conflicts or war or tussle kind of situations, and down the middle, the African countries where the substantial amount of poverty-driven communities, countries are situated. And one common factor between these two continents, these two places, Middle East and the Africa, is that very less amount of education or literacy. So there is a direct connection whatsoever between the fact that your literacy is very or education are very low, and reason why there is poverty. That's the reason why there are armed conflicts. Reason why there are so right. So it's very clear, right? When you imagine the world map, where exactly these two problems are there. And in other parts of the globe, North America, South America, or your European Union, and including most of the Asian countries, we all know it very well that literacy rate is slightly on the higher side. There are quite a good number of these institutions which are giving opportunity to learn and all that. And in those nations, we are that compared to Middle East and African countries, the poverty or the issues to war situations is very, very big. Of course, nowadays there is a war situation with Ukraine, and also India also had similar kind of situation with Pakistan 4-5 months back. But continuous happenings, right? Or these are the rare situations. But in the Middle East, always one or the other way, there will be some or the other armed conflict, some or the other, war situation. Similarly, in Africa, is out of those Africa is how and as well because of the, the so I agree a grade of the clarity. So
Ma'am, we shall begin with you. The keynote speaker has got internet issue. There is a technical issue. So in order to save the time, we shall proceed with you.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
before-
hello. Good morning
Yeah,
for
good-
everyone.
It is my pleasure now to invite you to this program to address the audience. Before we proceed with you, we would like to introduce you to our audience. I would like to request Ms. Sarah Benjamin to introduce you to the audience. Ms. Sarah, over to you.
It is my great honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Ms. Norma, the General Director of Kalu Institute based in Madrid, Spain. Ms. Norma heads the institute committed to strengthening humanitarian education, capacity development, and response in crisis settings. The Kalu Institute provides online and blended programs such as Masters in International Cooperation and Humanitarian Aid, and specialist training modules in nutrition in emergencies with the WASH, that is water, sanitation, and hygiene in emergencies, and cash and voucher assistance programming. As General Director, she leads the mission of fostering integration, engagement, and a sense of belonging among students while advancing humanitarian learning globally. Her leadership ensures that Kalu's programs reach diverse geographies and respond to evolving needs. Under her stewardship, the Kalu Institute has positioned itself as a global actor in humanitarian education, training professionals who design, manage, and evaluate aid programs in fragile contexts. Ms. Norma's vision and work bridge academic excellence with the on ground humanitarian challenges. We are privileged to have with us today a leader whose work merges compassion, scholarship, and impact in the humanitarian domain. Please join me in extending a warm and enthusiastic welcome to Ms. Norma. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for a wonder introduction. Let me just, okay, present. Okay, are you right now see my
Yes, ma'am.
presentation? Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to me to be here with you. I want to thank you, our host, for the invitation to participate in this great event. It's a truly great honor for us, and we hope these 2 days will be an excellent e-learning event. My name is Norma Cordero, as Sara says, and I'm director of CALU Institute. I'm from Mexico, and I'm living in Spain for more than 20 years. Since we're talking about Spain, let me do something fun, but it's really here in Madrid is really early. So how many of you have ever visited Madrid? If you have, please drop a like in the chat so I can just have a more or less the people that we are just right now in the chat. Okay, so let's start the presentations. Okay, I want to know about how many countries you are from. So please put in the chat to see just a small flags and interact with me in the chat. I want that you can be free for the questions, for everything or any doubt that you have. So, okay, so it's incredible to see Burkina Faso. We are there in Ethiopia, from Congo. DC, okay, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, great. I think it's incredible to see so many different countries joining us today. This is an international event that allows us to do so much more than just listening and to great professionals. So I really hope that you can open your minds and just interchange your ideas. Give us this event, it's give us a chance to build a common learning community, a space where you can share ideas and opinions. And we will be discussing current topics that will enrich us and I'm sure inspire some effective thing. Okay. Okay. Let me introduce just more details about Institute CALU. Institute CALU, for over 15 years, has been dedicated in the training professional and humanitarian aid. We have more than 50,000 students from around the world. Around our programs currently reach more than 187 countries. So we are really international. Our programs are currently just not in a global, just like a global center, but we are just trying that CALU Institute empower professionals to become agents of change in humanitarian action and cooperation of development. We do this focus on continuous learning improvements, critical thinking, and build confidence and technical skills. This is exactly why we want to participate in this event. Every new training program helping grow your critical thinking and boost your technical skills, make you more professionals, and maybe not for long, to be more better person. Okay, so let me talk about our mission and vision because are different. Our mission is just not to provide an excessive high quality training. It's more than this. It's to empower humanitarian professionals with the skills to address a global change and really support that community that are vulnerable and they are in really increases. And our vision is to just not to be great and to have more and more students every day is to to benchmark in digital humanitarian training, promoting international standards and improve that skills that will be a better humanitarian expert. Okay. Okay, let's talk more about CALU, our values. Okay, we can listen more than just three, but it's a presentation, so I want to make just a dynamic talking. So we are really flexible in online training center. We look for the respect and freedom through thoughts, and we want to guide our students in every single step. We are humanitarians, training humanitarians, and this is a very special and busy week for us at CALU because this is a full week of training, welcoming a new cohort of students who have taken a big step in their professional careers by starting their master program with us. So this is a really busy week for us, but we are really excited because in this time is the right moment to pay attention, to open your minds and learn from the best. Okay, I want just to know how many students of CALU are right now, because we know that a lot of for example, people of LATAM or IT or countries that are in the other side in the ocean, they are sleeping. So we want just to say hi, I'm here. I'm really, it's a pleasure for me to be here. So when we take just a few moments that we can express the honor that it's, okay, CALU, I'm a CALU student. Yes, I'm just talking. Here, graduating 2024 from CALU. Hi, it's a pleasure for me. So, okay, hold on. I want to introduce just this video. The president of CALU cannot be here with us today because he has a personal issue, but he wants just to share this video because I think it's more or less the essence of CALU, and we want just to share a little question that we are going to throw up. So think about it and just listen to it, okay?
Ma'am, before we proceed with your video, we would like to introduce the president of the CALU, then we proceed with your video.
Okay, okay, perfect. Go ahead.
In this occasion, I would like to request Ms. Sarah Benjamin to introduce the president of CALU Institute for our audience in order to share his reflections and message and vision of the CALU to the global world. Sarah, over to you.
It is my honor to introduce our distinguished president from the CALU Institute, Mr. Alberto Matos, who leads from Madrid, Spain. Mr. Matos is an economist educated at the Complutense University of Madrid with postgraduate training in NGO management and program design. He has dedicated his professional life to humanitarian education and program development, having worked with organizations like the Spanish Agency for International Cooperation, the Red Cross, Oxfam, and Caritas. In particular, his work has focused on internally displaced persons and humanitarian protection. Within CALU Institute, he has played a key role in curriculum design, instructional leadership, and the institutional growth of humanitarian education programs. As president, Mr. Martos ensures that CALU remains at the forefront of capacity building, innovation, and field relevant learning from humanitarian actors. His leadership blends academic vision with the on-ground insight, a rare combination that has strengthened CALO's mission to rebuild resilient systems and human capital in fragile settings. We are privileged to have him guide and support our initiative. Please join me in extending our warmest welcome to Mr. Alberto Matos. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sarah.
so much, Sarah. Ma'am, you can play your video right now.
Okay,
Yes.
let me just say a little more things. He was really excited to be here because all the international students, we are just to say, hello, I'm here. And of course, it's the right time to get just this question. Are you ready to do extraordinary things? Let's see the video. Oh, hold on. Okay.
There are workers who lack ambition, avoid responsibilities, and only think about themselves. They need close supervision and only work for rewards or to avoid punishment. But if you are here, you are not one of them. You have already taken the first step, and now you are part of us. We believe in people who take pride in doing their job the best they can, in people who face challenges, stay committed, and align their objectives with their organization, their qualities, and the people they serve. We believe also in a humanitarian action where qualifications are not more important than dedication, where there is no distance between the helper and the people we help. Open to everyone, because maybe you at some point receive help, but today it is you who is helping others. That's why we are looking for motivated people who are ready to learn new skills, solve problems with imagination, and embrace the challenge of becoming a little better every day. Are you one of them? Are you ready to do extraordinary things?
Okay.
Right.
Can you just tell me what you think about this question? Please tell me just in the chat. Are you ready to do extraordinary things? I think this is the moment that you can focus on what are you doing and what are your next step to be better in this professional career. So later, you will have the opportunity to hear 4 of our expert tutors. They are not only high experience academic, but are also on the ground in the different parts of the world. Bringing them, it's an incredible health of experience. Events like this allow us to our students community to connect with fellow students for university across different regions and the world while continuing to strengthen the practical skills needed to effective humanitarian action. So this is the year that 2025 is a year of exciting changes and new opportunity. So we are committed to make really the transformative experience for our students. So if I have to make just a few and quickly review, I want that you can really get involved in this event. Thank you once again, sorry, for being here, because I know that we have a really busy time. We have a lot of things that we have to do, but let's open our minds, embrace the knowledge started, and use this event as a springboard to expand our own work and create a positive impact in the world. So please enjoy the event and feel free if you want to ask every question that you can have. I'm here, I'm ready, and you can shoot down and I will try to answer all the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your inspiring message. Now, it is my privilege to call upon our conference chair, Professor Kenneth Wayne Mutama. Sir, before we proceed with you, I would like to request Ms. Sarah Benjamin to introduce you to our dignitaries, also to our audience. Sarah, over to you.
It is my great privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker today, Professor Dr. Kenneth Wayne Mutuma, Professor of Law at the School of Law, Mount Kenya University, and Editor-in-Chief of the Eastern Journal of International Humanitarian Law. Dr. Kenneth is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with over 23 years of practice and is currently the managing partner at Kihara and Wayne Advocates. He holds a doctorate and master's in law from the University of Cape Town, a law degree from the University of Liverpool, and remarkably, a bachelor's degree in architecture from the University of Nairobi. He has made remarkable contributions as an academic and trainer in international law, alternative dispute resolution, and corporate governance. Previously associated with the University of Nairobi, he has taught subjects such as the public international law, human rights, international humanitarian law, and ADR at undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral levels. He has also authored several important works, including The International Humanitarian Law, Themes from Africa, Belonging Reflections on the Refugee Situation in East Africa, Mediation Practice in Kenya, and the State of ADR Practice in Kenya. Dr. Kenneth has held key advisory and leadership roles across global institutions. He has served as regional legal advisor for the International Committee of the Red Cross, legal officer at the UNHCR, and legal coordinator with the South African National Assembly. And he worked with the Nelson Mandela Foundation on national capacity development programs. His consultancy assignments span IOM, UNHCR, ICRC, and several arbitration institutions, demonstrating his expertise in bridging academia, practice, and policy. Today, we are deeply honored to welcome a scholar practitioner whose work reflects academic brilliance, professional excellence, and global leadership. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Professor Dr. Kenneth Wayne Mutuma. Thank you.
Sir. Then
Yes, I believe I'm able to unmute now. Can you hear me?
yes, sir. Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Thank you. Sorry, I was
Yes.
having some technical problems. I would like to say a very, very big thank you again. I think the work that the University of Missouri does in bringing us all together to discuss topics of great importance and pragmatic topics, as it were, is incredible. And we sincerely want to say a very big thank you. I am one of those in a jurisdiction that's behind time. We are just waking up. And yes, Miss Norma was right. We are, I know we are on the other side of the Western Hemisphere. So it's very, very good to be here. So if you see a bit of dark light on my side, I'm in a hotel somewhere where it is slightly just dawning at this point in time. Allow me to also say a very big thank you to Professor Benjamin, the Dean of the Faculty of Law at the University of Missouri. He has been a key peg and pioneer in so many initiatives, not just this one, but several others in the past. I also would like to thank our chief guest. I think he delivered a wonderful note, Professor Surya Prakash. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to hear very clearly our keynote speaker, Professor Sri Nivasula. But I think I got a few of the points that he was making at the very early stages. Thank you very much, Ms. Norma, for a very practical outlook for us as participants and what we can do about the context in which education institutions are called to act as catalysts and making the conversation much more reachable, as we say, to the grassroots. I'd like to make 3 main points that connect with our keynote speaker when we think about the role educational institutions can play in addressing poverty and mitigating conflict. I think it is generally accepted that democratic governance is the best approach to organizing modern society. And I think our history will show that we have toyed with various forms of governance from the very earliest stages. But somehow, with all the weaknesses governance systems have, it's generally accepted that democracy is the best form in the present circumstances. I would like to first say that it can only be as good as the levels of education that are prevalent in society. This is because that specific governance system has within it certain key pillars, such as transparency and accountability. Transparency in its very nature requires that there is a form of access to information and almost unsaid that the people accessing the information should be able to interpret, analyze, and make informed choices based on that information. And here is where education becomes very, very, very important. Third, of course, there's a twin interplay between transparency and accountability. That information that is in the hands of the recipient is not latent or stale, but it can be used to make a change. And again, here you can see the very important role played by education in that entire ecosystem. And then, as our keynote speaker belabored, and I won't go very much into that, it is generally accepted that there is a link between education and development. In fact, stories upon stories, case studies upon case studies, you will see that where literacy levels rise and information becomes rampant but also digestible by society, that the key parameters and indexes associated with economics and development rise. And It is for that reason, I think, we call for more aggression with which institutions such as ours can make the general society empowered when it comes to their capacity as a human resource component, or their capacity as a catalyst and change agents in their own future, determining the quality of life that they have, that in all of those circumstances, that we as institutions have a big role to play. And then I'd also like to say, because I am in this realm, that a lot of conflict in a fragile state has to do with broken down dispute resolution mechanisms, whether that's at a private level, or whether that's at a public level, whether that's at a micro level, or whether that's at a macro level. Dispute resolution works on the premise of access to justice. And access to justice almost congruently demands that education plays a very huge role between the drivers of justice and the recipients of the dispute resolution processes that justice systems are meant to make, where populations have very low levels of education. You are likely to see cogs in the pipeline that we often associate with access to justice, and justice itself delivering on its promise into full-blown conflicts. I'd like then to turn over and just make two parting comments that I think will be worth our while in this discussion. That in the context of conflict, educational institutions have a massive role to play at the pre-conflict stage. This is where you generally have your transition and of peace, just before the advent of a conflict, the ability of that period to even prevent a conflict. During a conflict, and of course post-conflict, when you are trying to reconstruct society. In all of these instances, take for example the pre-conflict period, it's generally accepted that where societies generally have higher average and literacy levels, that will have something to do with mechanisms with which they can construct to avoid conflict. Their levels of awareness are much higher, and the understanding of the stakes that are involved with the disruption of society by conflict are easy to discern. And this is where educational institutions should be investing massively, not just in the three areas that I had mentioned earlier, ensuring that they are supporting the development of practitioners, agents, resources that can push economic development, societies that can exercise their civil liberties, and communities that are well aware and know how to deal with justice resolution systems. But they can also, in that role that they play, prevent the very worst, which is the darkness of information and ignorance that ultimately then leads to conflict. During conflict, and this has been the subject of my interest, there is a major role that they can play in as advocates or in the role of advocacy on securing certain minimal rights and including education on in terms of the ecosystems of societies found in the pit and of conflict. I think often when we think about what should be happening in the conflict terrain, sorry, I was just writing sorry, an interruption. But what should be happening in the conflict terrain is often dismissed as only calling for critical interventions in the area of food and other forms of imminent survival, like shelter and clothing. And very little regard is played to how we could secure safe zones that still allow society, and specifically the most vulnerable members of society, such as children, to still have the normalcy of learning. The dangers of little thought being played in that regard is eminent when you have long-drawn conflicts and generations of people that have not gone to school, which again makes that society very vulnerable to tipping off factors that could lead them back to conflict. Third, and I think most important, even in post-conflict societies, any reconstruction is pegged on how institutions can quickly rebuild their capacity and develop a critical mass that can be a mitigator, not just for the resurgence of conflict because they have a strong educational backing, but also to take that society and through the empowerment means that education provides away from the elements that have brought the conflict, including poverty itself. Last and not least, I want to make a point in relation to institutions and what this actually means for us. The role that institutions play should be reworked and rethought from what has been a common criticism, where we are accused, particularly at tertiary level, of being ivory towers of research and producing a product that does not amend itself. It's not amenable to the lived and social realities. I think more and more institutions are being called to rethink their role, whether it's from a research or a training or a knowledge basis, to something as it were closer or akin to the entrepreneur, where one tailors a product on the basis of the need that a specific society is facing. And this is particularly very relevant when you are speaking about the question of poverty and mitigation of conflict, that we should play an even greater role in producing knowledge and research that is less for libraries and dissertations, but more still with those products as a route to where policy can be influenced and implementation and execution of thought becomes easy and accessible to society. I want to pause there and once again thank all the organizers that have played such a wonderful role. I have a particular accolades for Professor Benjamin for the wonderful work that he does in bringing us together, and also Dr. Sayed and quite a number of others that have joined us. I wish everyone well as we proceed into the technical sessions that are to follow shortly. Thank you, and good morning from my part of the world.
Thank you so much, sir, for your thoughtful words. Now we shall proceed with the word of thanks. Then we shall begin with the technical session at 2 p.m. Indian time. So I would like to request Ms. Sarah Benjamin to deliver a word of thanks. Yes, Sarah, over to you.
It is both an honor and a privilege to deliver the vote of thanks at the conclusion of this inaugural session of our international conference organized by the Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysore. A heartfelt thanks to our chief guest, Professor Dr. S. Surya Prakash, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the National Law Institute, University Bhopal, for his inspiring inaugural address that set the perfect tone for our deliberations. We are also deeply grateful to our guest of honor, Professor Dr. C. Baswaraju, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Karnataka State Law University, Hubli, for his insightful reflections that enrich today's session. Our sincere appreciation goes to our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Srinivasalu N.S., Professor of Law at the National University of Juridical Sciences, Kolkata, for his scholarly presentation. We are equally thankful to our distinguished speakers from the Calo Institute, Madrid, Mr. Alberto Martos and Ms. Norma, for sharing their vision and mission with us. A special note of gratitude to our conference chair, Professor Dr. Kenneth Wayne Mutuma, for his inspiring address, and to our convener, Mr. Syed Kudrat Hashmi, for his dedicated efforts in planning and coordinating this event with such precision. We also acknowledge with gratitude Professor Dr. M.S. Benjamin, Dean, Faculty of Law and Chairman, Department of Studies in Law, for his guidance and support throughout. Finally, we thank all our participants, faculty members, students, and distinguished attendees, both from India and abroad, for your enthusiastic presence and engagement.